Radio ekulembedde zonna mu kukuba hit
tezikoma zonna buli omu kati gyawuliriza.
eno ye 12.5 Tiger FM
12.5 Tiger FM mukwano gwaffe gy'osinzira yonna okuba ng'owuliriza kubuuzaako mu ngeri y'enjawulo. Twebaza Katonda kubanga akyali naffe atukuumye n'okutuuka kaakano leero. Tulina ekiseera eky'enjawulo nga bwe tutera okubeera n'okuyiga okuva mu mikwano gyaffe aba Happy Science. N'olunaku olwaleero tulina programu ey'enjawulo nabo tugenda kubanga twogerako ekintu ekyenjawulo nga tulina okusomesebwa oba giyite lecture gye tugenda okubanga twanjula eya omusomesa Master Okawa nti lecture gye yatuwadde empya ey'ekiseera kino kakati omukulu okuva ku Happy Science jazze abenga ayanjula gye tuli ate era tumanye biki ebigirimu biki bye tusobola okwesunga. Kakati bwe tumaliriza okujanjula tujja kuba nayo yennyini tugifuna butereevu ate oluvannyuma lw'ekyo tujja kubanga tugiyitaayitamuko oba oliawo okugimenyaamenya n'okugitemaatema n'okwongera okugikugondeza n'okugikwanguyiza gwe agenda okugiwuliriza. Nina omukulu kansooke mwanirize ayogereko gy'oli ate era tweyongereyo. Omukulu tusanyusa okulabako ssebo.
Tweyanza nnyo omutesitesi era nga tweyanza okubeera nga ateera nate omukyaziza ku programu eno abeera musanyufu ne Happy Science. Nga nno ekindeese ngera nga wonyonyodde omwezi guno nga we nagamba nti mwezi guba gwa kujjuka mu Happy Science tulina ebikujjuko bya mirundi nga ebiri ebikulu ennyo. Tubeerawo nekyo tuyita Gosentansai oba ebikujjuko bya Gosentansai bibeerawo mu mwezi ogw'omusanvu. Tuba tujjukira nno amazaalibwa ga Master Okawa n'atuwa ne lecture buli mwezi ogwo atuwa lecture eri ey'omulamwa okusinziira ku mbeera ngaba oliawo webeera eyimiridde mu nsi yonna. So olwaleero tulina embeera eyimiriddewo mu nsi ng'embeera eyo fenna tulina omulabe gwe tuli mu kulwanyisa omulabe wa coronavirus. So abantu bali mu kutya so yatuwadde lecture eyitibwa Creation from Faith. Yes. Era mu lecture yayogedde ebintu bingi nnyo ebiwerako naddala nga bigumya abantu okusinziira ku mbeera gye tulimu mu kaseera kano.
Tweyanziza nnyo mukwano gwaffe awuliriza ye mukulu oyo era nga azze okwanjula lecture ya Master Okawa ey'omwezi ogw'omusanvu ng'eyitibwa Creation from Faith. Era akadde kano nkusaba weeteeketeeke osobole okufuna lecture eno. Kakati ate oluvannyuma lw'okugifuna tugenda kubanga tukomawo tugitemeetememukko n'ogimenyaamenyamukko n'okwongera okugikugondeza. Kale katugende mu lecture.
Mpozi nga tetulabagendako mu lecture omutesitesi. Nandisaba bawuliriza bamanye nti lecture eno oba okusomesa kuno kuli mu lulimi olufuutifuuti nga Master Okawa yakukola mu lulimi Olujapani then ate ye ne babeera nga
bamuvunula
mu lulimi Olungereza. So nga ate naffe tugenda soka tugiwulirize then oluvannyuma ennyo tugenda kuba ate tugyogerako mu lulimi olwaffe olwawano tusobola ffenna oba oliawo abamu okuwulira.
Kale katufune lecture mukwano gwaffe ate tukomewo.
Hello everyone. Many unexpected incidents happened this year. Many large facilities are not usable right now, so we are holding the celebration of Lord Cantare's descent at Sohanzon Choshinkan. And it is being broadcast live to satellite locations around the world. I'm sorry about that. I usually enjoy having a large crowd, so when I'm told to keep things smaller and smaller, I feel like I'm getting weaker and shrinking like a black hole. Very sad about that. I hear that in some of our locations overseas, people have a difficult time gathering. I hope something will be worked out to deliver this lecture to their home if possible. At this time, it is indeed a more difficult event than usual. Although we are broadcasting to satellite locations all over the world, we only advertised in a small local paper, Shimotsuke Shimbun, on July 7, and not in the major newspapers. If we said we, Happy Science, will hold a large-scale event, some people might come to investigate us. It may seem like you are sitting right next to each other, but I'm sure you're all sitting at least 3 meters apart. Looking at the way the world is now, I feel that preaching the laws of the universe is a task much further ahead, and that this world is actually rather strict and difficult. You will never get coronavirus by listening to my lecture. Of course you won't. I mean, I have been giving lectures outside since February. When I gathered only some few hundred or over 1,000 people, some news articles said that Happy Science gathered a huge number of people and held some event, and that I'm very aggressive. How am I being aggressive? I'm just doing my job like I usually do. Those were minor local events. I've heard that other groups can't get people to gather. I wonder what in the world they believe in. I guess they believe in the opinions of some medical scientists who base their ideas on modern science. But are they out of their mind? Viruses are beings of a level where they can hardly be called living beings. We are about the size of a whale, and they are the size of plankton. So as long as we have the fighting spirit to think we will never be defeated by such viruses, we will be perfectly fine. However, if you're overwhelmed by fear and looking for the earliest opportunity to get sick and die, people who tend to think like that will take this chance to get sick and be hospitalized. They immediately go to the hospital, get worse, and die there. There are many people like that. Japan is making a big deal, but only about 1,000 people have died of pneumonia caused by the coronavirus, and the total number of infected cases is about 20,000. So this is really a small number compared to other illnesses. For example, in Tokyo, where 14 million people live, only 100 to 200 people were infected or had a fever of more than 37.5 degrees Celsius. But the chances of you getting infected are extremely small, so I'm a bit disappointed. People are all losing against fear by holding back various activities and withering away. Fear is winning, and many of them spent a couple months staying at home. I don't think you need to be so scared because you can easily win against the virus with the power of faith. I believe so. In some foreign countries, the virus is still spreading. I feel they don't have enough fighting power because the teachings of Happy Science haven't spread enough. Still, even in the US, President Trump said that even though the coronavirus is rampant, he wanted the churches to stay open. Many gatherings are prohibited, but he said he wanted the churches to stay open. I think this is great. Places of worship must stay open. He said that people shouldn't be stopped from going to these places of worship. In his mind, he thinks worship is more important or above medical science, which is a field of modern academic disciplines. I believe the U.S. is somehow trying to bounce back from a very tough time. I would like to pray that they will definitely regain their power and become a strong leader. It is said that more than 3 million people were infected there, but I think this is simply because Happy Science missionary work is behind. If it had spread a little more, it wouldn't have been like this at all. The coronavirus is raging even in Islamic countries. People are banned from gathering. Unfortunately, Allah is not answering over there. If they can shout a bit toward the east, I can send them the light. But sadly, they are praying toward the ceiling, so I often can't hear them. In human history, various diseases, various natural disasters, wars, and many other things happened. There were times when the population was reduced to half or a third. I've seen many of these throughout the ages. I've lived with humankind through all their happiness and sadness. I'm standing before you as Ruho Okawa. I guess about 90% of the people in Japan know my name. But if we conduct a survey asking them if they knew El Cantare, the percentage would likely be much lower. I'm not sure people would know the name El Cantare. I slightly want to know which is larger, the number of people who support the Happiness Realization Party or who know the name of El Cantare. I'm a little worried to find out, so I'll put it on hold. It would be much less than Ruho Okawa, I guess. But for all people around the world who believe in God or religion, now is the time they must call out God's name. It's sad if they don't even know the name of God in such a time. Many religions were established in the past. I'm not saying they are meaningless. There are many effective ones to this day. However, these teachings were taught in different places and times throughout the world in times when travel was difficult and limited. Right now, it has become clear that our world is one, just as you saw through the spread of coronavirus infection. What started in the city of Wuhan, China, has spread throughout the world in a short time. The virus has infected more people on the opposite side of the world than it did in the area it originated. The true identity of the virus is a matter of debate, so I won't go deep into the subject today. What we must understand is that the world is interconnected now in both good and bad ways. I'm now giving my teachings in Japan, but we are not a religion just for Japan, and our teachings are not just for Japan. For example, in Uganda, people living in a village far from the capital are gathering to watch and listen to me. I must speak with such things on my mind. Earlier, you saw an announcement of one of our movies. Before that is another movie made, planned to be released near the end of August, called Living in the Age of Miracles. In the film, there is a scene where one of the main reporters, Roma, goes to the suburbs of Uganda. In this distant area in Central Africa, a father reads the true words spoken by Buddha for 45 minutes to his child who had passed away. Here, the story is that the child resurrects after going through what would be considered a death in terms of medical science. In Christian terms, this is the modern version of the raising of Lazarus. The village all knew that the child had been dead for 45 minutes, but after reciting the true words spoken by Buddha for 45 minutes, the child was resurrected. The whole village then became members of Happy Science. This is a story that comes up in the movie. I believe their faith is more pure and straightforward. In Japan, if you are hospitalized, even if you recite the true words spoken by Buddha, a dead person might not be allowed to resurrect because they will be proclaimed dead and moved to the mortuary. But in reality, even in this day, a person was resurrected just by having the Father read the true words spoken by Buddha for 45 minutes. For Christianity, the raising of Lazarus is the only miracle of resurrection after death, aside from the one Jesus himself went through after crucifixion. This was one of their biggest miracles. But in Africa, a believer who is not even a staff member brought a person back to life just by reciting the true words spoken by Buddha. What does this mean? It means that he continued to recite the prayer while thinking a lot about Cantare. He believed that miracles happened and continued to recite it, and the child was resurrected. The heart began to beat again, and now the child is well and going to school. What seemed impossible occurred. Soon you will watch the story. This kind of thing is already happening all over the country and all over the world. This is merely the beginning. If our faith truly spreads everywhere, you will see much more than this. Christianity is said to have 2 billion believers in the world today, but even Jesus Christ is just one of the guiding spirits at Happy Science. When you find out that this is true, please know that Happy Science is a religion with such great hidden potential. From now on, we will see, hear, and feel many more things that are beyond our expectations. There will occur many things which you feel should not happen as you live in this world. The majority of you have been brainwashed by modern education, mass media, and other people's opinions, and are living without knowing your real power, or the real power of God and Buddha in the heavenly world. So from now on, I would like to show you the true world. The year 2020 is said to be the beginning of the golden age. So why did we start with the coronavirus that spread throughout the world? Recently in Japan, there has been a flood due to the downpour in Kumamoto prefecture of the Kyushu region. It has affected many places in Kyushu, and dozens of people have been killed and tens of thousands affected. If you listen to the news in Japan, you might believe this is quite a big deal. We rarely get any information from our neighbor China, but they are also going through large floods. Heavy rains have affected 34 million people. This is an astonishing number. Those who are living in the area are probably getting an idea little by little what this means. I want people to know that these natural disasters and natural catastrophes have the power to break through anything that humans think will be okay with their arrogant brain. For example, in Kumamoto, some people think that the river's water level don't rise so high, which led them to experience many disasters. This time also the water came up to 9 meters high. It's a river we're talking about, not an ocean, so it is unbelievable that it got that high. Houses will sink. Such a thing occurred. People try to do different things as part of natural resilience. These will continue to be conquered. I've already talked about this before. Last fall we saw a lot of typhoons, but these kinds of things have also happened outside of Japan. Besides this, right now in East Africa, mainly around Kenya, there is an outbreak of desert locusts. They have spread in Africa, moved to Asia, and now entered Pakistan and India. They are ravaging crops. The interpreters of this lecture might have trouble translating these insects. They are called desert locust in English, locust of the desert. In China also, there are outbreaks of both these desert locusts and grasshoppers, and these insects are ravaging all their crops. These locusts are capable of flying a distance of 150 kilometers by eating only 2 grams of grass in a day. This is unbelievable. They are like uranium or atomic energy. Can you all eat 2 grams of grass and fly 150 kilometers? This is impossible for humans. Just 2 grams of grass to fly 150 kilometers. It sounds crazy. In addition, they continue to produce offspring as they fly, so their population grows more and more to the trillions. These are not just happening in those areas, but in South America too. There was an outbreak there at the same time, which has caused a food crisis. The coronavirus is going around, but there is also an outbreak of locusts. Many things have happened that are similar to the stories you can read in the book of Exodus about the time of Moses, when God caused natural disasters. Why are all these occurring at the same time? I'll keep it a secret for now, although it's not really a secret. You might slightly know this, but it's because humans have been slacking off, even though Cantare has descended. This could be why some of these natural phenomena are occurring. If I say a lot about this, I'll sound like a god of vengeance, so I'll try to keep myself from saying too much. Some divine punishments will occur, but we plan to do a lot more saving than that. I mentioned salvation, but salvation in this world is not final, it's just a temporary one. In the end, salvation means that the people living in this world can safely return to the heavenly world after they die. If a large number of people are falling to hell because they are living a wrong way of life in this world, then they are not being saved. Some of them might live an extra year longer by having their disease cured, but that's not salvation. Ultimately, human beings are spiritual beings. They have souls. There is the real world, also called the spiritual and heavenly world, which really exists. In that world, there exist many beings from the high-level ones known as God and Buddha to bodhisattvas and angels. They watch over this world. All of you were born from that world with some sort of job or mission to accomplish, and are really working in different occupations in order to help create utopia in this world. However, what is destined is that everyone is equal before death. Everyone must die someday. So death itself is not an unhappy thing. Unhappiness means to die without accomplishing anything or to die after making others unhappy. It means to die without bringing happiness to others. It means to die without guiding others to the truth. So I hope you will change your understanding on happiness and unhappiness. Defining your life as several decades in this world and only hoping for your family to be happy during that time is a truly small kind of happiness. It's quite difficult to be born into this world. It's not so easy to be born and raised by your parents and to grow up into an active adult. Also, people who are healthy and have jobs that others could only wish for have a heavy obligation accordingly. They have an obligation to guide many people to happiness. Please know that. All of you went through something you've never seen or experienced before during the last several months of this coronavirus pandemic. However, I don't think it was entirely bad. You must have realized that the things you once took for granted are in fact not guaranteed. You probably took being able to go to work for granted, thinking it's such a bother to get up every morning and wear a tie to go to work. I'm sure it was a surprise when 80% of you were asked to remain at home on standby. You must have felt anxious about what will happen to you if you were not told to come to the office while on standby. For some people, as long as they went to work and sat at a desk, they were guaranteed a salary. All they needed to do was to keep their desk, but now they're being told not to come. They are told to telecommute if some work needs to be done, but what will happen if there's no work for them? It means they will be out of jobs. There will be only part-timers coming to the office. Full-time employees are told to telecommute from home. This is scary. In the future, only those able to secure a desk might survive. So there's a lot of anxiety about what will happen to large companies in the future. There is something we've never even considered before. Please maintain distance from others. Please don't go outside. Please don't let your children play at the park. Please don't go shopping every day. Please don't go shopping with your family as if you're going out for a walk together. Please only go shopping once every 3 days. We're being asked to do many things we've never heard of before. Seeing this, I thought that modern economics and democracy will fall apart. The military won't operate either. The people must avoid closed spaces. Ships and airplanes will be useless, and the military, which is made of people packed closely together, won't be of any use. Some election campaigns are still going on, but if people can't meet, such a world would just be made up of people who only connect to each other through machines. This would be like one of those futuristic societies sometimes seen in movies. You can think of this time now as heaven's gift for us to think. It reminds us how happy it is to be able to work and interact with others. How happy it is to be able to let our children play at the park. How happy it is to be able to go to work in a packed train, even though we used to hate packed trains. How happy it is to be able to receive a salary without working much. Some homemakers say they are bored because they don't have much work to do other than to go shopping every day. But I think they now realize how happy it is to be able to go shopping every day. This time, there hasn't been a new law issued in Japan, but a lot of shops closed, one after another, just by the government requesting people to hold back their activities. They don't know when they will reopen. I looked around and saw that some people ignored the request and kept their shops open. They must have summoned a lot of courage to do that. Some restaurants, cafes, and stores are selling things out on the street, but they were careful about it. They were afraid that someone would scold them for staying open. This is a crazy time when people will criticize you for working. People are told not to work. When they ask what they should do, they are told that measures will be taken later and that they will be given some money. But even if people get money, if shops are closed for a long time, they will surely lose their jobs. A lot of people have already quit their jobs, but I think the worst is yet to come. People are not free to travel the world right now, and many jobs are practically at stop, so a truly major economic recession is on its way. I believe so. Yesterday on my way here to Utsunomiya, I had to change trains at Omiya. As I walked down the platform at Omiya Station, I noticed there were 3 kiosks there. 2 of them had been closed since March 14, just as they had been requested, so they had been closed for 4 months already. The one in the middle was the only one still open, but its business hours were from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. It had arrived a little after 1:30 p.m., so it was already closed. All of the kiosks on the platform were closed. This is the 4th month. You can imagine what will happen if this keeps going as it is. Things won't return to the way they were anymore. I also thought about what would happen if companies like Japan Railways or the major airlines go bankrupt after falling trillions or tens of trillions of yen in debt. Large department stores have been closed for a long time. They won't be able to survive without selling goods. It's not enough to just get money from the government or local municipalities. So there will be quite a lot of people laid off and unemployed, I think so. Don't get me wrong, but ever since March, everyone at Happy Signs has been working as usual, ignoring the request by government and municipal requests. We have been working in the 3 C's. Our general headquarters has been working as usual. I too have been working more than usual. It's typical for me to go against what society thinks is common sense. In most cases, the trend is already over by the time society makes a big deal out of it. People don't think about the next step. They are always a step behind. Right now, everyone in the country is scheduled to receive a 100,000 yen subsidy. Some businesses can receive 300,000 or 500,000 or maybe 1 million yen as compensation. Some have already received this money and others have applied but are still waiting. However, instead of that, I feel it is much more important to think about the way to create an atmosphere to restore the system where people can work again. It seems people are letting fear get the best of them and are far too weak against the unknown. I've noticed that most weddings have been cancelled or postponed since this spring. I was worried that all the companies involved would be in big trouble if these events have been pushed back, but seeing the CEO of Wedding Box sitting in front of me today, I was relieved. Its main office is in Kumamoto, and with the area suffering a great flood recently, combined with the cancellation of wedding ceremonies, I was concerned that he may have hung himself, but I guess his company is still okay since he is here today. Don't worry so much about the virus. We can't even see them. Just keep going. Just keep pushing forward, not only on Taian Kichijitu, known as the lucky days, but also on Butsumetsu, or unlucky days, since it is a wonderful day when Shakyamuni Buddha returned to the heavenly world. So don't worry about such things. When society makes a big deal about something, please stop for a moment. Please know that the opposite is often the spiritual way of thinking, and the way God or Buddha thinks. Even if you're given money now, in reality, There are many ways to spend it since we're told not to go shopping, and not to travel so much, even though some people are doing so recently. We can't go abroad either. Those who used much of their retirement money to go on a cruise ship, thinking that it would be their last chance to do so in life, ended up being trapped in a cage and inevitably getting sick. It is a fearful world indeed. So right now you might be given some money, but you can't use it. Some people have enough money or their salary did not drop, such as public servants, but even these people are consuming less. Since they have nothing else to spend on, they invest their money into buying stocks, since the rates are rising, or buying gold because its value is going up. But in reality, this is a strange move. Seeing how the world is now, a great recession is sure to come, but people are still busy buying stocks. There is a chance that these will become just pieces of paper, and yet they are still buying. They might be able to gain some profit if they buy and sell early, but objectively speaking, it is not very smart to buy stocks when a great recession is about to come. There is no interest on deposits, and there is talk of blocking bank accounts. The money in your bank account might disappear. This happened once in the late 90s. Japanese people experienced the fear of money disappearing from their bank accounts during a financial crisis in the late 90s. This is a battle. The fundamental solution is to be brave and start your work from scratch. There is no other way, so it is useless to scatter money or pieces of paper. That won't fix anything. The Bank of Japan, for instance, must not directly accept government bonds according to Article 5 in the Public Financial Act, but there is an exception. Under special circumstances, this law can be overridden. The Bank of Japan is directly accepting a lot of government bonds by itself because it can't make other banks buy them. What does this mean? It means that by buying government bonds, the Bank of Japan, who is printing 10,000 yen bills for 20 to 25 yen each and circulating it as cash worth 10,000 yen, is directly buying the government's debt of 1,100 or 1,200 trillion yen. If these bonds turn into worthless pieces of paper, the Bank of Japan might also be doomed. The risk is getting higher. Considering this, there is nothing we can do if we follow macroeconomics. The only things left are personal savings and corporate internal reserves, which the government should be plotting to take by increasing taxes. Now, you might be happily accepting the money scattered by the government, but a tax hike will come next, so you must be able to withstand this. But in the end, you won't be able to fight through the times only through this approach, so you need to quickly get back on track, back to your usual working mode. We must overcome our fears and fight. So we must return to the starting point and live with diseases, accidents, natural disasters, catastrophes, torrential rain, floods, tsunamis, earthquakes, fires, and hot-tempered fathers, which have all existed from long ago. Except the fathers part is just a joke. Mount Fuji might or might not erupt, but either way, human activity must continue. So please don't think there is a cure-all, but instead live every day to the fullest, praying to God and Buddha, and focus your energy on the work that would become a positive influence in the world and help build a happy future in your afterlife. No matter how hard we try, we all must leave this world at some point. Therefore, just as Mr. Tanaka, the main actor in our next movie, sang earlier, we need to go alone. There are things you must do even if it means to make an enemy of the world. It is important to feel what your mission is. Each of you must find what it is that you are born to do in this world, in this life. Today's lecture title is Creation from Faith. It's a very difficult title. One problem is, even in developed countries that practice religion, their religion or faith has been losing its content. Right now, Japan is unclear when it comes to whether people have faith or not. It feels as if Japan could easily become like North Korea or China, so we must stand strong and establish a pillar. Maybe Japan hasn't been doing enough since the Meiji period, so we must establish a religion with proper faith or real faith, and clearly show the way humans should live based on that. Through this, we must do our work and make connections with other people. That's important. When many diseases spread during the Nara period, Gyoki built the great Buddha of Nara. It is said that the construction cost was twice the national budget, so in terms of today, it would be 200 trillion yen. It means he was able to collect that much money from people. It also means Buddhist monks had such virtue. At that time, the government could not collect such amount of money from the people. So they asked Gyoki to collect the funds and even asked him to manage the construction schedule, as well as to request people to cooperate. When he was young, he was oppressed by the country, but later in life he had a very good reputation. So the government asked such a person to build the great Buddha of Nara. Then the diseases and other problems eventually disappeared. You might know of Kobo Daishi Kukai. We are currently making a movie related to him, with shootings in Tokyo and in other places, such as here. In Japan, during Kukai's time, there was a swarm of locusts and they ruined crops. It was a major problem, so he was asked to expel the locusts. He was a monk of esoteric Buddhism, so he built a gomadan, or an official altar, on which he sat and prayed. Then the next day, all of the locusts had disappeared, which was historically documented. They were gone in one day. Even the founder of Japanese esoteric Buddhism, which is just one of the sects of Buddhism, is said to have enough power to expel a swarm of locusts. Nichiren is another example. He conducted rituals to pray for rain when people were struggling from hot sunny days with little rain. This was a monk's job back then. They could bring rain or stop rain. So if there was a swarm of locusts, they could make them disappear too. Religion has a much stronger power than you think. If we lived in a time when people were full of faith and there were people who possessed appropriate good level of spiritual power, we would already be given the power to fight many problems. So if you can tell other people in the world that El Cantare is living in this world, and if more and more of them can learn that fact while they are still alive, the world will get better and better. At the very least, I want to get rid of wars due to religious conflict, and I believe we can expel a lot of these unknown diseases and natural disasters. People are suspecting global warming to be the cause of heavy rain and a swarm of locusts, but that is not the case. Earth was much warmer in the past, but such phenomena didn't occur then. Those things don't happen as a result of Earth getting warmer by 3 or 4 degrees, so don't worry. There were times when it was much warmer and times when it was much colder. Humans lived through times when lava was still flowing around much more, and they have lived through the Ice Age also. You would think it's impossible to survive through the Ice Age, but they were wise enough to survive and have managed to survive to the modern times. Considering this, no matter how many or what may come our way, we must overcome each age without forgetting to believe in God. This is important. Our souls have lived for much, much longer. Souls at the root are a part of the light that branched off from God. This is true. Your soul is only a small piece of the light that branched off from God, but it's a piece that will release great power if it is polished. I accept this as fact. This is why I continue to support democracy, not deny it. If you polish your souls while being aware that you are the child of God, your Buddha nature will surely bloom, and you will be able to attain some level of enlightenment. You can regard democracy as something similar to this. So if everyone recognizes that they possess such Buddha nature, continue their activities while constantly checking whether they are right or not in the light of the will of God, and make effort to create good politics, then a future utopia and a political and economic system of the future will surely be established. But I must say that faith is superior. It needs to be steady. From there, everything should start. Only if there is the superiority of faith, political prosperity, economic prosperity, advancement in science and technology, or other cultural prosperity based on faith are allowed. Don't sway this central axis. Now, very few political parties and politicians say this, and people interested in economic principles only talk about making or losing money. They can't tell if it is good or bad money. This is the current economics. They think it's okay as long as they don't commit crimes, but that's not true. There is good and bad to money. Of course, money earned through hard work for the sake of bringing this world closer to utopia is good. So I want you all to be like that. Some people have trouble moving their body because of their age. Some are disabled and some are ill. Such people can't work. It's important to lend them a helping hand. It's an obligation. On the other hand, those who have a healthy body and a healthy mind should be even more diligent and work to realize God's glory in this world. They should try to succeed even more and make this world shine brighter. I hope so. It's important to help many unfortunate people through their excess benefits, but we can't all quit our work and live on cash handouts from the government. This is not realistic. Please know that. Some of you might say that you quit your job because you're at a retirement age. But this doesn't mean you are really out of work. Praying in your mind is also work, of course. Giving advice to others is another. Even if you're 90 years old, you can give advice to young people and also give countless guidance to them in the religious meaning. So work is not only about making money. You might not make money anymore, but there's still work to do. Your work can still develop more and more with age. I want to say so. If I were working in a company, I would already be old enough to retire. But as I see my own face on the screen, I look like I'm still around 40. Don't judge people based on their physical age. If you keep receiving the light of God as fuel from the heavenly world, you can stay young forever. You can keep working. People age when they lose their ideal goal, so if they don't lose it, they can still live young. I've given almost 3,200 lectures, but I'll still give many, many more. So please follow me. I'm not thinking, all of you over 60 should go away, I just need young people. For the believers working at Daikoku-ten businesses, you might suffer from viruses, floods, or locusts, but please don't let them defeat you. You must prosper even if it means you must face the world. Please think like that. Happy Science is still halfway done at most. We can't die yet, you know. We must be 10 times and 100 times larger. At this rate, we will just be remembered as the Japanese religion that grew the most after World War II, but nothing more than that. We must be known around the world. Yesterday I was watching the movie Cinderella Man again at home. In New York, a former boxer who loses his job during the Great Depression in 1929 returns to the ring and becomes the world champion. Just like the movie, we need hope. There needs someone who can give courage to others. Worldwide depression might occur, but there needs someone who can give hope and courage to others at that time. He's working hard, that company's working hard. If people can see such kind of hope and courage, they can stand up too. If you break your right hand, then train your left hand, your left punches, and win back the championship. This is the important thing. So let us build up a new power, use it, and lead the world without blaming our environment or condition. We'll say this to the people of the world. Since our activities are centered in Japan now, Japan has to be much stronger, of course. But I would like the U.S. to work hard again so that they do not slow down and stall in this coronavirus pandemic. As for China, I've been criticizing them, but it doesn't mean I want the 1.4 billion people of mainland China to die and the 7 million in Hong Kong to live. I just want them to choose a way of life that makes people happy. We criticize China as a means, but we would like to guide them and the other countries to their progress and prosperity. Please don't forget the love for humanity either. Please have more power, more light, and more prosperity. If the God you believe in is the real God, I pray from the bottom of my heart that you will find prosperity in your future. Thank you very much.
大川隆法総裁先生、ご法話誠にありがとうございました。
Okay, tweyanzizza nnyo mukwano gwaffe okubanga okyali naffe. Ndowooza lecture ogiwulidde bulungi. Ye lecture ya omusomesa Master Okawa gye yatuwadde ey'omwezi ogw'omusanvu. Bingi byasomesezzaako, bingi ebiri mu lecture eno. Naye omukulu agenda kubanga atuyitiramukko ebitonotono okutugondezaako ate obaolyawo n'okwongera okugitegeera. Sebo, lecture ya creation from faith.
Yes,
omuntu atategedde bulungi Lungereza bwe twagala okwongera okugondezaamu obaolyawo n'okwongera okukasuka ekitangaala n'eri abo abawulidde obaolyawo nga bakiwulidde naye okwongera okitangaaliza ddala.
Yes, so eno mu lecture eno Master Okawa akonye ku bintu ebyenjawulo naye nze nno ngenda kuba ntunulira obaolyawo ebiyinza okubeera nga mu Africa bitukonerako ddala
bitukwatirako ddala
nga wajogedde fena mu Africa bitukwatako okugeza alina wayogedde n'agamba nti omwaka guno gubadde gumakinga oba gusalawo omwaka gwe tuyita ogwa the golden age. Yes, oba okutandikawo ebiseera eby'omwaka oba emyaka egya zaabu naye ate
ebiseera ebirungi
naye ate n'agamba nti naye ate mu kaseera ke kamu omwaka guno gutandise n'ebizibu bingi nnyo n'ayogera ku nzige enzige nno sebo zibadde neewaabwe so kakati nayogera ku mataba agali kati nga mu Japan mu China nakwadde agambye nti China teyagala byogerako nnyo nayogera ku mbeera gye tulimu eya coronavirus essaawa eno n'agamba nti ebintu bino bireseewo nnyo okutya mu bantu n'agamba nti naye okutya kuno okuli mu bantu abantu balina obutatya ate nnyo lwansonga ebintu nga bino bibadde bijja bibaawo naye ate tusobola obikola ki
okubivuunuka
nagamba tusobola obivuunuka kati katugeze nga ku mbeera ey'okubeera nga tutya abantu abasinga bagamba akalwadde kana ka coronavirus tekagenda kumalawo bantu bonna nagamba nti naye tulina okubeera nga tuli bagumu era nga tulina ebigambo bino mu mutwe Rodel Cantare byatugamba nti newoba okedde ku makyanga ensi yonna ekwefuulidde okitegeera newoba okedde ku makyanga ensi yonna ekwefuulidde waliwo ebintu by'olina osigala ng'okola nga ggwe omuntu ebintu by'olina osigala ng'okola nga ggwe omuntu bye bintu nga okubeera nga osigadde oli mukkiriza eri Mukama Katonda wo mwekwase mu buli mbeera ekyokubiri tulina okuyita mu buli mbeera oba tutya katugeze oyinza okubeera nga omanyi waliwo akagero ke bagamba mu Luganda ne bagamba nti otulo tetumanyi alirira nnyina ekivunula nti nnyoko oba maama wo newabanga yabadde yakamala okuva mu bulamu bw'ensi era otulo tetugaana kukola ki kukutwala newebakamu n'owumulamu so kakati embeera gye tuyitamu nti embeera mbi buli omu yeeraliikira nti tugenda funamu economic depression tunaakola tutya naye ate byonna tujja bikola ki tujja bivuunuka kati Master Kawa atugambira nti agambye ayogera akagambo kana agamba nti even if the entire world is against you okitegeera
olina okusigaza essuubi
there are some things that we still need to keep doing as children of Buddha children of Lord Cantare tulina ebintu bye tulina okusigala nga tukola and one of those things is to hold strong your faith okitegeera ti okukkiriza kwo kulina okusigala nga kw'amaanyi
nga kuli
waggulu kubanga mu kaseera nga kana ate
wetwetaagira ate wetwetaagira ennyo okusitula okukkiriza nti mu biseera by'okusoomoozebwa
wetulina ositulira okukkiriza kwaffe kubanga abantu ebiseera ebisinga tuba obulungi twerabira
bwe kiri
twerabira Mukama Katonda waffe okitegeera so katunyikiza tutya okukkiriza kwaffe ekisookera ddala tulina okutegeera erinnya lya El Cantare Katonda agamba nti how do we deepen our faith we need to understand the name El Cantare the supreme being ekitegeera supreme being Katonda oba the God of the earth okitegeera ti wetunategeera erinnya eryo ne tulikowoola ebintu bingi nnyo ebigenda okuba nga bikkakkana buli wonaabeera ng'oli mu kinnya oguddeeyo tolina kuweereza mukono kusikayo nti erinnya lya El Cantare tukitegeera so yengeri yokka gye tugenda okuba nga tusobola okuba nga tudipendingamu okukkiriza kwaffe mu Lord El Cantare oba ne tumanya erinnya lya Lord El Cantare so nze nno ndowooza ti lecture eno esobola okuba nga etaasa obulamu bw'abantu bungi nnyo tubadde tujja tugiwulira ayogedde ku bintu ebyenjawulo ayogedde ku disasters ezijja zibaawo nayogera ku economic depression nayogera ku nzige zetuyita locusts nayogera ku mataba agalinga mu China ne mu Japan wenyini babaddewo n'amataba floods zibya abantu awo ne basuggesting abantu 10,000 babasengule mu kitundu abadde amataba ebintu ng'ebyo byonna bibadde bijja bibaawo naye nga atugamba nti ate guno omwaka gwe gumakinze emyaka giyingira emyaka ejja zaabu bajja yise the golden age
okitegeera
so tunyikize okukkiriza kwaffe mu Lord Cantare tumukoowole oba tusitule okukkiriza kwaffe tumukoowole buli we tunaabeera nga tuli mu mbeera ffe gye tulowooza nti tesoboka kubanga Katonda yatema ekkuba awatali kkubo. Katonda oba Lord Cantare yafuula bye tulaba nti biri impossible okubeera nga biri possible. Ze tuyita miracles.
Tweyanziza mukulu mukono gwaffe awuliriza ndowooza owulidde bulungi ebimu ku ebyo ebibadde mu lecture ya Master Okawa ekisinze okunkwatako ennyo nze nganze kwe kugamba nti mu mbeera bweti nga ensi emamiddwa ebizibu byonna nti ate guno omwaka gwe gusalawo okuyingira mu kyasa oba mu mulembe ogw'ebiseera ebirungi golden age okitegeera nga kirabika nti nga kiraga nti nga bw'olaba ensigo bwesooka neefa nti bye bizibu bye tulimu ate neddamu neemeruka kakati kitegeeza nti tubeere n'essuubi nti mu bizibu byonna embeera ng'ekalubya etya ate tukyasobola okuddamu ne tumeruka ne tufuna essuubi eppya n'ekitangaala ekipya.
Mpozi ekirala akasembayo omutesitesi waliwo firimu empya eri mu kujja twayogera ku Real Exorcist firimu eyo waliwo TV kwa bagiraga era tusuubira abantu emitwalo nga 10 balaba firimu eyo naye ebyamagero bibadde bijja bibaawo then waliwo firimu empya egenda okujja gye bayita The Age of Miracles yajogeddeko mu lecture eno so no mu lecture eno yatulaze nti alowooza ne ku Africa abamutuloza tutagirowoozaako mu lecture eno egenda kuba eyogera ku lugero olumu olwabeerawo okoba olyawo mu ggwanga erya Uganda abantu waliwo omwana yalinga baali basuubira nga bayinza balowooza nti oba afudde n'ofufa ebintu bwe bityo naye oba olukkiriza lwa kitaawe yasabira omwana omwana n'atandika okuteerera n'abeera mu mbeera ennungi waliwo firimu egenda okuba nga yeefaananyizaako bwetyo egenda okuba nga eyogera ku kintu ekyo so tugirinze naffe
nayo tugirinde kubanga Real Exorcist nnyo abantu bajagadde nnyo ate atugamba naawe atannaba kubanga ogiraba sala amagezi okulaba nga ogiraba. Twagala kukomya wano programu yaffe mukwano gwaffe awuliriza ate tujja kubanga tuwuliziganya olunaku olulala ate era osobola okugenda ku mutimbagano n'onoonya Happy Science ekiseera kye tulimu tempo yaffe nti tetunaba kubanga tukuŋŋaana naye nga ekisinga obukulu kwe kubanga tuwuliziganya n'okubanga ogoberera ebisomesebwa n'enjigiriza ya Happy Science. Katukome wano akuma atakumira mpeera.
Tiger Farmer 12 Radio Nabwero.